them. And Needham capitalized on the long ball right off the bat from about the 20-yard line.
Comes as a surprise under these weather conditions.
Yes, it certainly does.
Well, Needham, of course, has been a throwing team all year. Needham's going to go for two this time. He's got his man wide open and right through his fingertips that time. Frankie Ficardi, number 12, who rolled out to his right that time and missed. Number 86, Kyle Reicher, in the end zone.
Sometimes as a coach, you tell the group to be ready for that particular play. My first reaction was that it was a bad snap, but then, however, as I saw how he caught it and how the ends went out, there was no question that it was a planned play right from the beginning.
I agree. Good. Gee, that's
Needham, of course, will now kick off again. Number 86, Kyle Reicher, who is the punter. Excuse me, the kicker. Will try to put Wellesley and get a better kick this time. He only kicked down to about the 35-yard line last time, and Wellesley took over in good field position.
It seems like a pretty interesting state of affairs has developed here, where Needham won the toss, elected to take that option in the second half, Wellesley, of course, elected to take the ball, and so far Needham is in the driver's seat after making that decision, which some people certainly wouldn't make, but on a day like today, I certainly could appreciate it, and may have made such a decision myself.
Well, John, I apologize, Joe, for being a little late here, but I had some obligations this morning. But this kind of weather has always enabled teams to want to get on the defense as soon as possible and see if you can't contain the offense. And, you know, you play the weather a lot of times in making these decisions, so it doesn't surprise me that one might take that defense to start with.
Reicher kicks off the ball this time, and it's taken there on about the 20-yard line. By number 16, David King. And Wellesley again takes over the ball with good field position on about the 40-yard line. Before the game, Gino, we had a chance to walk over the field. There are some slippery spots on the field. Obviously, in the center of the field where you see the ball players right now, and down in the far 15 and 20-yard line. In Needham territory down here.
Well, it should affect the traction, especially in the middle of the field here where they get a lot of play, as you can see.
Wellesley comes out with a man in motion, number 10, Scott Pomfret.
Pomfret, number 20, carrying for Wellesley.
Pomfret gets about 2 yards on the play, where he's brought down there by number 51, Eddie McGovern, one of the tri-captains for Needham High School.
Was one of the tacklers for Needham. And McGovern.
Needham, as we said, runs out of a 4-4. They will do some stunting from time to time. They play it fairly safe. Man set wide to the right. There's a handoff there to Kevin Reel. Picks up about 2 yards on the play, and he's brought down there by number 31, John Snyder.
Although Wellesley is primarily a running team, Aaron Kelton certainly does have the ability to not only scramble to the right or to the left, but he throws a fairly decent pass as well, and he may have to do something along that line as the day goes on.
They're down in 7 for the Raiders now. The ball on the Wellesley 45.
Split end out to the right this time, number 10, Leon Holt in motion. Another flag on the play. Pass play over the middle, and it's incomplete there.
Incomplete pass by Kelton and a
to number 20, Scott Pomfret.
Pass intended for Pomfret.
Well, we're looking at these Delaware wing T. Is that what they call
That's
this
correct.
Formation? Basically a running attack with the flooding one side or the other. And, of course, I've been kind of interested in watching it develop. They've been successful with it. But I think it requires a lot of cross-blocking. And with the traction being what it is today, Joe and John, you know, a lot of times these offensive linemen just don't have that kind of explosion in order to make those kind of blocks. So the defense does get a little edge in a situation like this by just filling up the gaps. So it may require Wellesley to go to the outside a little more and try to turn a corner running, or else on the rollout passes like we just saw.
Again, Kelton comes out. Got a man in motion, Leon Holt. Hands off that time to Pomfret, and he breaks the tackle down to about the 35-yard line.
Number 20 carrying for the Raiders.
Scott Pomfret picks up about 15 yards on that carry.
Opened a nice hole there, so it contradicts what I just said, but still you're going to have to see if they can get to the outside. But a nice opening there, and Pomfret just blew it right up the middle.
Scott Pomfret carries for the Wellesley first down to the Needham 35-yard line.
Set man right this time for Wellesley. Man in motion, number 35, Kevin Reel. Hands off to Pomfret again. Pomfret certainly running with authority there. Gets down to about the 30-yard line.
This is the type of offense that we've seen Wellesley run most of the year. Pomfret did miss one ball game, and other than that, he's been very, very healthy. A real hard runner. And Gino, I compare him a little bit to Riggins from Washington. He's short of stature, but really has a lot of power.
Yeah, and he stays pretty high when he's running, so there is a similarity between Riggins and him.
Leon Holt in motion again, hands off again to Pomfret, off tackle that time. Picks up possibly about 3 yards on the play. He's brought down there by number 57, Steve Melia.
But see, this is a nice drive for Wellesley right here, because what it's doing is it's enabling them to develop some offensive rhythm. The longer you have the ball, even though they seem to be stopped for a while there, they're starting to open up their offense now, but they're getting a nice rhythm between their cadence and the linemen coming off on the snap and the backs hitting the hole at the right time. So this all comes through sustained drives. There goes the outside.
Pomfret hands off to Holt this time. Holt breaks it around the outside. Looks like if he stays in bounds, gets down to about the 5-yard line.
Goes out of bounds.
Getting back to what you said before, Gino, about utilizing the outside.
5-yard line.
Eventually, it looks like the way they were playing that they might force him to get to the outside, but he did a nice job of bouncing out there.
We saw a real tight line in there, perhaps a gap 8, and Wellesley chose to go around the side with Leon Holt. And as long as Scott Pomfret keeps bombing up the middle, I believe that Wellesley's going to have to do something to get around the ends a little bit.
Wellesley comes out in a full backfield. Ball is on about the 6-yard line. Hands off to Pomfret, off tackle. Looks like Pomfret's in for a touchdown, Wellesley.
Hands off to Scott Pomfret, number 20 for the Wellesley.
As we're waiting for the point after, I might make the point that when the ball game first began, I think that as a coach, you're a little bit reluctant to try anything different, but at the same time, because the weather was so bad, I think Andy Levin from Wellesley thought he'd mix it up a little bit. We saw in the second drive, however, he didn't mix anything up. He just came at him with Scott Pomfret, and I think that's what we're going to see the rest of the way.
Good point.
Kick is up. Oh, the kick is no good. Hits the crossbar.
I tell you, because of the conditions, I kind of expected he might run for it. See, in kicking right now, it takes a big effect on your plant foot and sliding. And I don't expect we'll see any kind of long-distance kicking here today.
Well, I think if there's anybody in the booth that would know a little bit about kicking, it'll be you, Gino.
I wouldn't want to be kicking on that field. That's why I have a little sympathy, or empathy, I should say, for the kickers. Very difficult, because it's important that when you plant that foot, in order to drive your kicking foot through the ball, it has to be nice and firm on the ground. And with that giving sod, it's going to make it difficult.
I'd like to pick up on Gino's point about the offensive line play and the weather and so forth. In talking to Andy Levin in preparation for today's game, he mentioned how he was exceptionally well pleased with his line. His line is not overly that big, and he attributes it to the fact that in the Delaware wing tee, there is no option for the linemen. They have a specific place to go, a specific assignment, and it never changes. So it becomes rote, and they've learned it exceptionally well over this year.
Okay, Wellesley will now kick off. And it's a high kick. Of course, it's a free ball. They have to be very careful. Whoops. And the ball is picked up there by number 36 for Needham, Mike Gary. And Needham takes over with pretty good field position itself.
For Wellesley.
And it looks to me like the ball is around the 42-yard line.
Matt Lucciarelli was the kicker, and I'm sure he'd like to have that one back.
Needham brings the ball back to the Needham 42-yard
Also, the ball becomes difficult to compress on a day like today when it gets this kind of temperature as far as being cold. The leather gets a little hard, so unless you can compress the ball, it's hard to make it fly.
Needham coming out in their pro set formation this time, hands off this time to Dardinsky, number 44, and he's met there by number 86, Paul McDonald for Wellesley.
55 Blackwood 86
Wellesley's fortunate to have number 62, who is Michael Hester, who is perhaps the best linebacker in the league, or at least one of the best ones, as evidenced by his fine play all year.
Another yard on the play, 2nd down 9 for the Rockets.
You know, I think we saw exactly what we thought we would see. Of course, Wellesley running on the ground and Needham going to the air. That's been both teams' plans all year, and that's what they've stuck by, and that's what they've been successful with. Needham with a set left this time. Picardi rolling out. He's got number 42 in the open. He completes his pass there.
To number 12.
Excuse me, number 12. Frank Picardi threw the ball that time, number 12, and I can't really make out who made that catch. It looks to me like it might have been made by...
completing a pass to...
We said primarily that Wellesley would be running a 52. However, on a passing situation, they're going to be running that 4-man line, which we saw during the last play.
Picardi is a scrambling quarterback. He does like to roll around, and he certainly can whip the ball. Needham in a set left this time. Hands off to Dardinsky, met by a whole host of Wellesley ball players. Led by number 35, Kevin Reel, and number 71, Chris Muzzy.
71, Chris
that
Muzzy,
kind of play just may force Needham to continuously go to the air. Of course, as you said, it's their strength, so they're not going to find that too difficult to move in that direction. I would think that on a day like today, whoever controls the line of scrimmage really has a big edge.
45-yard line, the 46-yard line of Wellesley.
Again, Dardinsky gets the ball and picks up only about 1 yard on the play at the most. Wellesley shutting down Needham's running game. Brought down there by number 20, Scott Pomfret.
21 of the Wellesley.
It looks like on the last play, to combat the passing game, Wellesley over on their left side and Needham's right side had man-to-man coverage on the two people who were split out. In addition, they had Leon Holt over there, who is in fact a free safety, so they're almost doubling on the split side. How does that sound like a strategy to you, Gino?
Sounds pretty good to me.
They're down in 9 now for the Rockets on the Wellesley 44-yard line.
Picardi drops back the pass. Incomplete there, intended there for number 40. It says 42, but I believe 40. We have no 42 on the program. I'm just trying to figure out who 42 might be for Needham because we don't have it down on the program. It could be Jerry Sullivan, who is normally number 14.
Fourth down and 9 for the Rockets.
It's also interesting to see, even though Needham is in fact a passing team, they had 2 receivers out, and Wellesley had 5 defensive backs in the area.
Back to punt is Frank Picardi, also the quarterback.
Picardi back in punt formation.
And it looks to me like
a flag down.
A movement on Needham's side there.
Deep for Wellesley is number 10, Leon Holt, and also number 23, a junior, David Spezzano.
A motion call against Needham.
Dead ball foul called against Needham, 5 yards.
So that would be 4th down and about 14.
49-yard line. 4th down. Picardi, number 12, back in punt formation.
As you can start to see, some of the players jumping the gun, starting to get a good kick by Picardi. Gets it down to about the 20-yard line. And he's run out of bounds there. Number 23, Dave Pizzano, is run out of bounds there by number 86, Kyle Reicher.
Gino, I'd say at this particular time that the coaches and the players have pretty much forgotten about the weather. What's your observation?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, just after that kickoff first series, you might notice it, but after that, no, it's all gone and forgotten now, and they realize the type of game they're in, and you just adapt to it.
Everyone's forgotten about the weather but
well,
us.
What you do is you shorten up your stride a little bit, you chop your steps up a little more because of traction purposes, so it all comes into part of your game for the day.
Handoff again there to number 20, Scott Pomfret, and their flags all down the field. There's about 34 seconds left to play in the first quarter here.
Also, you know, it's interesting, games like this, unless they are flagrant fouls, the officials, just by instinct alone, because of the weather, will allow, you know, a little more leeway on holding and different type of blocks that are illegal or things like of that nature, only because of the weather, in order to speed up the game. It holds true in the pros, so there's no reason to believe it wouldn't be the same thing in the high school level.
I also noticed that particular time that Needham ran a 52 defense and got out of their traditional 4-4.
The ball is on the 32-yard line.
Back in their 4-4 again now. Man in motion, Kevin Reel, handoff there to number 20, Scott Pomfret. He breaks a number of tackles and finally brought down there by number 41, Kevin Abley, after he picks up about 20 yards on the play.
Tackle made by number 41.
I think one of his big advantages is that you know, he runs real hard, but he has a very, very good balance as well. And if you don't hit him square on, chances are he isn't going to go down.
To the Wellesley 48-yard line.
He appears to be very hard to bring down by his running style, and he's not going to go down easily.
David Spazano split out to the left this time. Hand off to Leon Holt. Picks up about 4 yards on the play, and he's brought down there by number 24, Lou Baker.
Well, the more they are able to pick up yardage in between the tackles, the more they're going to be apt to get to the outside, Joe. So it's a nice attack that they're employing right now. You know, hit it up the middle, and bounce one to the outside. And with that, I think they'll be able to control the ball.
Well, at the end of the first period, we have Needham 6 and Wellesley 6.
The Office of the Secretary of State, your source for public information.
In the last 10 years, the Citizen Information Service has answered close to 1 million questions, from consumer safety to the legislative process, and everything you need to help you start a business, handle a neighborhood emergency, or learn your rights as a voter. So if you have a question, call and we'll help you.
The Office of the Secretary of State, your source for public information.
I keep busy with my kids' schedules and helping my husband with his business. But when I really want excitement, I volunteer here at the Needham Channel 3. I've learned a lot of new skills. That's what community television's all about.
School's head football coach, Andy Levin. And Andy, we're kind of wondering about last year's 09-1 season, what a disappointment it must have been for you. And here we are 1 year later, standing near Wellesley, ready to get into the Wellesley Thanksgiving Day game against Needham, and the season is going exceptionally well for you. I wonder if you could give us some of your thoughts on the season past.
Well, John, last season was a terrible disappointment for us. We put a lot of hard work in, and the team put a lot of hard work in before the season and during the season, and we had some tough breaks and some tough injuries, and did finish 09-1. We decided at that point that we were not going to let that happen again, and did a number of things. One was setting up an off-season weight program, which a number of our ball players participated in, and quite a few of our this year's team went to football camp during the summer, and it's paid off for us this year. It's just been an absolutely unbelievable season. We knew that we were going to be improved, and that we had some good ball players, but we really didn't expect to be where we are right now.
Very good. We also know, those of us from Wellesley, Needham, in fact, all over the greater New England area, know of the tremendous surprise that Wellesley pulled a few weeks ago. I'm wondering if you could give us some thoughts on not only that game, but maybe some of your most happy moments and biggest disappointments up to this time of the year.
Well, we thought up until the Natick game that the key to our whole season had been Brookline, to be honest with you. We felt that we had to win that first game to get things rolling. And that was a very, very big win for us. As it turned out, Brookline's had a very, very good season, and we did beat a good football team. But without question, the highlight of our year was beating Natick on that Friday night. It's almost was a fairy tale, and still is for us. I'm still getting phone calls from friends all over the country and letters from friends all over the country about that game. And I guess the key thing was that our kids, the coaches and our kids, really firmly believed all week long that we could beat Natick, and I think that was the key. Whereas in past years, you know, in the back of everybody's mind was, you know, the idea of who you're going up against and the tradition and the Fluties and that type of thing. This year we really believed we could win, and I think that's what eventually won us the game.
Very, very good. Now we have a traditional rivalry coming up that has been going on for well over 100 years, I understand. I've been an integral part of it, as you well know, and I'm wondering what are your thoughts on the up-and-coming traditional game vis-a-vis the tradition of it all, and also what are your thoughts on the Needham team itself?
Well, the big thing, I guess, is the tradition of the game, being the oldest high school football game in the nation, and I can remember when I was growing up, I played high school football in Newton, and even at that point, I can remember hearing about the Wellesley-Needham game and the tradition behind it, and being the oldest high school rivalry in the country. Always imagine what it must be like to play in that game, and I've been involved here for 12 years now, and I've been involved in 12 of those football games, and every single one of them is a tremendous experience with the emotion and the tradition behind the game. It's a once-in-a-lifetime thing to participate in a game like that. This year, Needham's come on, I guess, very, very strongly the second half of the season. They've won 4 in a row. We're very concerned about their quarterback, Frank Ficardi, and they have 2 very, very good receivers in Damon Aronson and the Abley boy. And we're concentrating our efforts basically on trying to stop their passing game. We feel as though they're going to come out throwing the ball against us, and we feel we have to stop Aronson to be successful and win the football game. They also have a sophomore running back, Dardinsky his name is, who's come on very strong the second half of the year, had a great game against Framingham North and a very good game against Framingham South. And so we're concerned with him also. They're a very, very good football team. They had a tough start, but have really come on strong the second half. I think it's going to be a very, very, I know it'll be an emotional game, and I think it's going to be a very good, close football game also.
Thank you very much, Andy. I know that everyone is hoping that perhaps this will be the second happiest day of the season for you, and we wish you the best of luck, and thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, John. Thank you. It was a pleasure.
So you make yourself well-rounded, you know.
We have a exchange of field positions now, and of course,
Coming here, I don't know if they
Wellesley will be running
look out the window.
running to our right here from the booth, and we have a second down coming up. First down. Wellesley has a first down on that play from the first time Scott Pomfret ran the ball. 6-6 the score is, with 10 minutes and 53 seconds left to play in the second quarter, and it appears to be snowing harder. Looks like Christmas weather instead of Thanksgiving weather. Wide slot right this time for Wellesley. Man in motion, Leon Holt. Hand off to number 20, Scott Pomfret.
Like he came back with the same play. They're having good success with it, running into the short side of the field. And runners, I guess, for the most part, like to run right if they're carrying the ball in their right arm as well. So Wellesley picking up good yardage, attacking that side of the Needham defense.
Second down, 6 now for the Raiders.
Needham has had trouble this year, especially in the first part of the season, controlling the amount of points that they've been giving up. But in the second half, they have done better.
Oh,
Break through the line there by number 57, Steve Miller. Almost gets a prior to the handoff. Certainly disrupted the play a bit, where he's brought down there by number 11, Damon Aarons. Number 41, I'm sorry, Kevin Abley.
well, the defensive left guard there, Steve Melia, was it? Number 57. Might, as this game goes on, if they're going on the same cadence, he might be picking up that count. They're going on 2 quite regularly. Now here he busted in there, and he almost got to the quarterback before he had a chance to turn around.
Man in motion again. Hand off this time to number 35, counter, Kevin Reel.
35 carrying for Wellesley.
This is an inside trap that, again, has worked very well for them all year long. I'm sure that Andy Levin saw Melia come in on that last play, and I'm sure that he instructed his quarterback, Aaron, to make sure that he does vary the count.
One of the things Needham has been hurt by, as the games I've seen, is their inability to pick up the counter plays. The linebackers have not been as diligent in staying home as they should have been. There's a fumble. Appears to be recovered there by Wellesley.
Oh, we got one official point.
One guy's one way, one guy the other.
Getting back to your comment about linebackers, I think they work in 2 stages first. I think when they first come out and they work real hard and they're real good hitters and they're quick, they tend to follow everything in sight. After they've been playing a game or a year or half a year or a full year, the next time they come back, they get the idea to stay home, to read the offensive linemen and read the backs that they're supposed to be keying, and that pretty much takes care of itself.
Spezzano to split end, set out to the left. Flanker right. Handoff this time to Leon Holt. Got a few blocks in front of him. He finally brought down.
Carries for the Raiders.
Brought down there by number 72.
Andy Mendelson.
Andy
72
Mendelson.
on the stop for Needham.
Leon Holt's a junior, and it was a very big surprise as he transferred into the Wellesley schools from Boston this past fall. And Coach Andy Levin is delighted with him, and I know that Coach Jim Sullivan in basketball is really delighted in him.
Third down and about 4. Holt in motion again. Pomfret up the middle.
Scott Pomfret, number 20.
Pomfret gets down to about the, looks to me like about the 3-yard line, just overpowering people, carrying people with him.
He's a load going through there, as you can see. Just a good power running. Runs nice and high, hard to bring down, picks his way. Outstanding running back with a lot of power.
Wellesley.
I certainly think that we could argue till the cows come home about who has the advantage on offense or defense on a particularly bad day like today. That particular time, I guess it looked like the offense had the advantage as Pomfret busted through for a nice gain.
After this timeout.
Well, once again, they're doing it without being forced to go into the airwaves. And their game primarily a running attack, and they're doing it with such consistency that this is the type of offensive rhythm that just mounts as you go on in the game.
Of course, Wellesley has no reason to go into the air. They could basically come up the line of scrimmage and tell Needham that they're going to run the ball, and Needham has been ineffective in stopping them with the run. And I think Needham's quite aware that they are going to run the ball and still cannot stop them. David Spezzano split out way to the left this time. Wide slot. Leon Holt, slot man in motion this time. Looks to me like Wellesley has an offsides there. Little pushing going on in the field. Of course, that'll happen in this type of a game, and the officials step in between it.
Number 65, Wellesley's left tackle, David Blackwood, moved on that particular play.
5 yards against Wellesley.
First down and about,
procedure called. That ball
appears to be about 12 yards to go for a Wellesley touchdown.
Still goal to go.
Actually, this is worse than snow because what you get is a crystallization of the moisture, and that gets on the ball and that gets on the ground, and really makes it more difficult.
Again, a wide slot left. Leon Holt comes back in. Handoff this time to Holt. Picks his way through the line of scrimmage, and he looks like he's in for a touchdown. Wellesley. That was nice running on his part.
Leon Holt, number 10.
Good running instincts, Joe, because the play designed maybe to go off right tackle, and he started cutting back against the grain once he saw the opening. So
there you see the
he's just cutting right back in there.
And he
That's
did. He
good
picked
run
that nicely.
vision.
Yeah.
Timeout called.
Wellesley has taken a timeout. They might try to go for 2 here with the conditions, and certainly with their ability to run the ball.
I would guess that is what they should do, but
yeah.
We'll see momentarily. Since they failed on their first attempt, this is one way of getting it back as well.
The last play that was run was a quick fake to Scott Pomfret, and I think Needham came in and made an attempt at tackling him, and then the ball was handed off to Leon Holt. Not only can Pomfret run exceptionally well, he's also a real good blocker, and he threw a real fine block on the left defensive tackle on that play.
Well, certainly the Wellesley High School team has